Hello, happy Friday, everybody.
Dan, hi, good
Mark,
morning.
how are you doing, buddy?
How's it going?
Hey, man,
Not
it's
too bad.
good.
How's it going with you, Dan?
It's all good here. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. What's going on
It's
your
it's
end?
glad to be back on the show finally.
I know it's been a little bit, right?
Um, yeah, it has been for a little bit. Well, it's all good. It's been a long week. We're finally getting the rains here now. The monsoon setting in, so it's always rainy. It's cold.
Oh, yeah,
I'm hearing you guys are dealing with the heat
yeah.
quite a
It's
bit, right?
hot. It's hot here. The joke is like, you guys, do you have power? Do you have power? Because the grid can kind of go down if with everybody running their AC. So anyway, all good. Yeah. So thanks everybody for viewing, tuning in today. We have a fun show, a little bit different. No, we're not interviewing anybody today, but these are the shows I kind of like to do sporadically around just some funny things like what in the name of research. We'll talk about that. Have some examples of survey questions in the wild that could have gone better. I'll tell you that. And then we also have like the best ad that I've seen personally, probably in the last 6 months. I don't know, maybe it resonated with me because they kind of fit my target demographic. I'm not sure. And then I have like a segment that I want to do around like a crash course in some advanced methodologies like card sorting, hotspot. We'll talk about MaxDiff and maybe even Gabor-Granger a little bit, go over some live examples there. And yeah, that's what we want to talk about today. Before we get started, let's go over some announcements. So, Mark, I know we have the Insights Hub webinar that's coming up on the 30th at 11. That will be with myself, Vivek Bhaskaran, the CEO, and then maybe another couple special guests will yet to be named. So feel free to sign up for that and register. Mark will put that in the comments here, but that's happening again on June 30th at 11.
Just did that.
Yeah. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So there it is. And we're unveiling Insights Hub, which is our workflow / knowledge management platform as well that we're unveiling. So super excited about that. Sign up. It's going to be good. I know that. And then Mark, what else do we have going on?
So I actually just put the URL to our press release of the Insights Hub launch. So that's going to be an interesting one. You guys should definitely check it out and register for the webinar. Cool. We've also got the Crystal and Adrian are doing the office hours on Monday the 28th. So cool. You have any questions about anything, surveys or research, just feel free to join on and put in your questions and they'll answer it. Let me just get the link here.
Yeah, do that. They're amazing. Adrian knows everything about the system. So come on, if you have questions, he's your guy. So that's what we've been doing these office hour segments.
It feels like we've done these office hours for a while now and nobody's stumped Adrian or Karthik or Crystal yet. So
yeah,
I guess an open challenge for all.
Yeah, I mean Adrian for sure, right? No, no, but definitely. If you stump Adrian, ping me and let me know because I'll send you a gift card or something. Because I kind of want to see that guy stumped. I haven't seen it yet, but it'd be something worthwhile if it did happen. So that's happening on June 28th at 11. So sign up for that.
June 28th, yes.
And then on the 30th we have the webinar that I mentioned as well. So. Cool. Any other announcements, Mark? What else is happening? We have CX forms, obviously, going on.
We've got Work It Life. So I'm just putting the link in the chat here. So if you can subscribe to our podcast and just access it wherever you get your podcast. And then we've got CX forums that Ken does with Mark Michelson.
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting too. So here you go. That's the link posted in there.
So we have a little bit of something for everyone here, whether you're research, CX, or workforce. There's mediums and information for you. So check those out. The podcast is super interesting, and I know I've been on some of the CX forums. Those are entertaining, and also you learn a lot too. So check those out.
Absolutely.
So I think without further ado, should we get right into the show?
Yes, we should.
All right. So Mark, I'm going to start it out with what in the name of research. Okay. So these are things that I've seen sort of in the wild, as so to speak. So let me share this. Okay. So I would always recommend putting labels in your answer options. It helps the respondents answer the question. So,
Right.
I mean, it's pretty, you need labels like yes or no, or how likely would you be to vote? So this is a question that I saw. You can follow, there's some of these, Twitter accounts that I follow, like Bad Survey Questions is one of them. I think maybe I got this one from there. Super funny, at least if you're in the business here and you like these kind of questions. But, if the general election were held tomorrow, how likely would you be to vote? And you don't know which way is likely and not likely. Like, what is this? So make sure you're double checking to label your scales, or obviously put in the correct answer options as well. So I thought this one was somewhat entertaining.
I can't even tell if this is serious or not. I mean, it's obviously serious or it's actually true, but it feels like it's a joke, right? It's just somebody just put in something there. It is a joke.
Yeah, I mean, definitely need a good QA process for your surveys here. All right, so the next one is a little bit of the same, except, maybe the please select response is like it's complicated. I'm not sure, but is the relationship current, ongoing, or past? So please select a response should have been in the question label, like not in the answer options. It's obviously not a legitimate answer option, or if it is, it's beyond me why anyone would want to select that one. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think this is a case of the copy paste gone wrong. Looks like it. I mean, it seems like that definitely needed to have been in the question. So this is incredibly hilarious.
Yeah, but again, these things go back to making sure that you're collecting, good data, and the first step of that is QAing your survey before it goes out in the field and making sure that the answer options are making sense. It's kind of 101, but it's like a subtle thing that can often get missed, obviously, as you see here. Okay, right. One more example here is overlapping answer options, especially when you have to do with ages, with maybe any quantity that you're trying to get where you're fitting it into the different, single select options. Here is an example of, they started out well, right, with the 18 to 24, correct. 23 to 30, and then I'm not sure what happened. It's, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 plus. So if I'm 40, do I select the 30 to 40 option or the 40 to 50 option? Probably make myself feel a little younger. I'll select the 30 to 40 option, but that's just me. So, again, like double checking to make sure your answer options are correct, I think is a key thing. And it just helps with making sure that you're getting good data quality. I think that's the biggest thing here and then really the segment is one to kind of, have a little fun, but also just to ensure that, a good reminder to double check your surveys, make sure they make sense before you push them out to the masses. So.
Yeah, and you can't really complain about bad data, right? If you set up the question wrong. I mean, I know we always keep talking about like good survey data quality, but I mean, if you do something like this, it's on you for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then this, obviously, if you need help with developing your surveys, you can become a QuestionPro certified researcher. So this is something that we have. I think, Mark, you can put the link in there, certification.questionpro.com. Go and get certified. It'll help you not only with how to use QuestionPro, but then also just research in general. You can learn about a good question structure, survey structure, and then also the expert course goes through some of the things that we'll be talking about, coming up here. So these are good things. You'll get the badges, and then you'll also get the certificates here. Mark,
yay!
The course. So here's Mark's certificate here. Cool.
This is awesome.
So do that. And then one thing I did want to show you is this ad here. So this is a Miller Lite ad for Father's Day. This is probably one of the best ads I've seen lately. So, it's called the Shoesy, but these, New Balance shoes are kind of like, here are kind of affiliated with like, being a dad or like, kind of an older kind of dad type person. So I thought this was super clever by New Balance and Miller Lite to team up here and to kind of exploit this. So this is one of the best, at least, ads I've seen. And, being in the marketing kind of business, I like to look at ads and see, hey, where's this coming from? What's the spin on this? But I thought this was one of the most clever ones that I've seen. Like, the Shoesy. So it's like a a beer, koozie for your like a can of beer that you're drinking. So I don't know. This really resonated well
That is so
with
cool.
me. I thought it was super funny, and
That is
they're
so
actually
cool.
doing a promotion where you can win one or put in a drawing for it. So super cool. I thought it was a good collaboration between New Balance and Miller Lite to kind of hit on some of the trends in the AC going on in the marketplace here. So
absolutely. Plus with the summer, I guess it's like the perfect time to be able to get something like that, right? I mean,
for sure. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, I just wanted to share this. This is probably one of the best ads that I've seen in a while. So interesting. Yeah, the shoezy.
We're
So
going to see
Mark, go get yourself a shoezy, okay?
Now that you talked about it, Dan, do you think the stock price is going to rise like exponentially, like we've been seeing about the whole Coke episode?
It's highly likely. I mean, get in now while you can before this thing shoots up. Yeah, no, the Coke thing is super interesting too. Look, who was it? Ronaldo, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he took the Coke off
Ronaldo,
at the press conference. Right. Yeah, he took the Coke off, and then the stock price went down to the equivalent of $4 billion. I think what's interesting is the stock price has since recovered, so it's like a short-term blip, but it is interesting nonetheless of like the power that like influencer marketing and things can have, in the marketplace. And I know we've seen this before, I think with Elon Musk and a few others, but this one, it was interesting, just that simple act of saying, hey, don't drink this, drink more water, cause that, so really interesting, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, Mark, that was the funny ad that I saw that I liked, but
I love it.
Yeah. Cool. And then let's jump into it. What I wanted to do is kind of cover 4 different methodologies or question types here that you can use in your surveys and give a good crash course around them. So let's first start out with card sorting. So card sorting, there's 2 different types. There's open and closed. That's what we have in our system. So this here is an example of how you can set up the question type, and then we'll get into some live data as well. So here you can set it up by putting in your different category, or your categories are over here. So you can put those in, and then the answer options here. So in this case, it's asking to sort these movies into different categories. Obviously, the card sorting question type works well if you're doing any sort of like web or categorization research and you want to see, hey, what do people think? Where should these best align into these different categories? This question type works well. Closed is, Mark, do you know the difference between closed and open?
Yes, I do. And I should say yes, because I did the certification. So with closed card sorting, you're defining the categories, but with open card sorting, you're leaving it open-ended for respondents to be able to interpret and then write the labels themselves, right?
Yes, correct. 100%. That's right. Good job, man. That course works.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. Go for it.
So you can do that here, like just go to settings and then you can select whether you want it closed or open. In this case, we did this closed card sorting. So we put, the Conjuring, due date, hangover in these different categories. So this is setting up the card sorting. And then in the analytics, this is what you would get. So you can see each of those answer options here. And then you can see, okay, based on each answer option, which categories should it be placed in? So, some interesting ones here. The Conjuring obviously is a horror movie, so people got that right. Due date, it was interesting. I guess some people thought it was an action movie. Most people think it's a comedy.
Yeah.
So, again, Terminator here is action. I think, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Annabelle, horror. Hangover is, comedy is right. The Avengers, action. Some people thought it was a horror movie, so interesting there, I mean, not sure who those people are, but kind of interesting. But you can see that based on how maybe you think something should be categorized, might not be how the respondents or your target market thinks about it. So think about that. And this is a great question type to see how to start to categorize things so that it makes logical sense for your customers. Cool. And then, any questions there, Mark?
No, I don't think so, no.
All right. So that's card sorting, quick crash course there. I would say if you want to use this, definitely reach out to us. We're more than happy to help train you and also take a look at how your question types are set up to make sure that it's correct, and you'll get the the right data here. Okay, so let's go to the hotspot question type. This is an interesting question type because you can really give them a, if you want to call it, an artifact or some stimulus that you want them to rate about, but you can point them to specific areas within the image. So in this case, I was setting up a scenario where this might be the backdrop to an ad for San Francisco, right, or the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
So here, if I click on this area to edit this image, you can see that I circled the moon. I wanted to get feedback around that, this tower to the bridge, and then the mountains. One thing that's super unique about, I think, QuestionPro and how we approach this is that in the toolbar here, you get the option to do a square, a circle, and then sort of a custom line like the mountain range here.
Yeah.
So really helps in just clearly defining what you want the respondent to rate on. So that's the key thing here, and that just makes it easier. You can also edit the fill color, outline, the moon, the mountains. You can label these different things. So those are some key options there that we provide to you in this hotspot question type. You can select like, dislike. You can add an option too. So maybe if you wanted to have one for neutral, if you wanted that, if you wanted good, or kind of that like, dislike, or neutral about it, that's an option for you as well. And then some other settings here. But when you view this data, this is where it gets pretty interesting because you can see the like and the dislike for it here. So in terms of the hotspot, you go here, you can click on this hotspot. It'll show you the image here, and then you can see, let's see, I think it's maybe loading up. Let's see here. Okay, no, it's not pulling through. Interesting. All right, anyway, let's move on to the next one. So Gabor-Granger here is an interesting question type to use in any sort of pricing research that you have. So let's say you have a product that's already established, but you want to see what's the maximum price that the market can bear and that you would be able to maximize your revenue. So the Gabor-Granger question type here is super interesting in that you'll be able to ask this question. In this case, it's an electric skateboard that has a battery life of 1 week. And you want to know the price at which someone would be willing to pay, and that max price, again, so you can maximize your revenue here. There's two types that you can do. There's automatic, and then there is also manual. The difference is manual, you can input your different steps. In automatic here, you can put in your max price, the different intervals, and then or the min and the max price, and then it will take you through those series of steps. So you can do things like select the starting price, select random, the price path, and so forth. So you can take them through different scenarios. Typically, I think the price starts in the middle, and that's what we default towards. But if you wanted to do a little bit different model, that's something that you can do as well. So now what
Dan, do you have, before you get into the data, do you have any recommendation of if someone wants to, so how would someone know whether they should use the random or define variables or values? I mean, do you know where there's like a good scenario in which they should use either?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on particular model. I think if you have like a predetermined set, like your steps are, you start at 100 and the max price is 800, and it's like every $100. I would say manual would be good if it wasn't so clearly delineated. Like it wasn't every $50. Maybe one step was 25, another step was 50. Maybe something like that would be a good option to use more of the manual setup. Some people are just more comfortable with that as well. So that could be an option.
That makes sense.
And then here we have the data. So you can see here that willingness to pay. So this is really the demand, and then this is the demand here, this line, and then you have the willingness to pay, the percentage of the population that's willing to pay a certain amount, and then the revenue for that price point. So where these two lines intersect is like the most interesting spot here. So you can see that it's somewhere between
at about 250 or 260 or so.
Yeah, probably around 250 somewhere. But what's interesting here is that this line here, this revenue line is, pretty close. I would say that, somewhere between the 250 to 300 would be a good range that you would be able to charge for this particular product. And then we also give you the price elasticity as well. So you can see, based on the different prices here, the elasticity. So, 20 cents, you'll be able to see that. And then we show you the chart here as well. So you can see at each of the different price points, both the count, the demand, and then also the revenue that you can potentially get by that. So what's interesting here is that maybe more people would pay $100, but that doesn't maximize your profit, right? So the 250 to 300 range, is definitely where you want to be. At the same time, a lot of people use Gabor-Granger to determine what discounts they can offer, right, to maybe also increase revenue and those sorts of things as well. So definitely an interesting question type.
Yeah.
Fits into the pricing analytics suite that we have with Van Westendorf, obviously Gabor-Granger, budget scale, and then Conjoint as well. So another question type. Cool. And now,
interesting.
Real quick, I want to talk about MaxDiff, and that's question type. One thing I wanted to show is in here. Let's get rid of this. So MaxDiff, this is Ben from Epic Games, posts a lot of things on the platform here on LinkedIn. And one of the things he mentioned recently was about MaxDiff. So I wanted to share this, just to kind of reiterate the power of MaxDiff. So MaxDiff surveys are a great way to get preference data. They usually outperform ranking or matrix questions. Plus, they're kind of fun for the participants, especially obviously they're a gaming company, so they do game concepts. But you can use things like images, so it just creates more of that kind of interactivity and so forth with respondents. Kind of fun, and they outperform matrix questions. So instead of asking how would you rate the following, and you get this battery like on a 1 to 5 scale, typically it's going to be 3.5, 3.7, for the answer option. So there's not like a clear delineation there, where when you ask MaxDiff, you get more of that. So it's definitely a clear question type to use. And then also you can use things like anchored MaxDiff just to see that, hey, this is what I'm asking about, but is that really even important to the respondent? And you can get that sort of data as well. So pretty basic question here is that, for each of the questions below, please choose your most and least preferred option. So, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, and then asking a follow-up question. So consider the items, please choose which of the following are must-haves, right? So which of these you must have. Obviously, if you're doing any sort of product research and you want to see, hey, what features or functionality do I want inside of the platform? What are these must-haves? Then you can see how this aligns to your share of preference, because it might be that, you have a high share of preference of, let's say, Visa, but that's just based on these answer options. If it's not a must-have, then that's another piece of data that you can point towards.
Yeah, you can work off of. Yeah.
Correct. So under analytics here, we can go to choice modeling and then go to MaxDiff. And then we have the answer options here. So you can see this MaxDiff analysis, you get the share of preference. So obviously we only have 16 responses here. So if we had more, this obviously might change and fluctuate, but pretty high share of preference to Visa. So 80, over 83% preferred Visa, 9.75 or 9.76 MasterCard, Discover, and then American Express is low coming in. Then you can see the percentage that said best, the percentage that said worst. So, here, obviously you can see that. And with the line chart, it makes it easy to see, clearly who said best and what said worst for each of the different answer options. So this is a good way to do it, because you can see that clearly people are favoring Visa. If you ask this in like a more of a matrix style question, you may not get, that clear delineation. So I think that's what's really helpful here about this MaxDiff exercise. You can do comparison reports. You can see overall, and then you can do different filters. So if you wanted to see if those who selected Visa most or MasterCard most, and then compare that data,
Yeah, the difference.
You can do that as well. And then also, if you wanted to see like males versus females, that's another way you can go about it, or certain filters there. That's all different ways that you can just view
Demographic.
slice the data. And then you have anchored MaxDiff. So in this case, all of these answer options are preferred, but if you didn't get that, you would see more, something a little bit more along the lines of this, where you have Visa, Neox, it looks like, and then the anchor point is 100%. So you see that, and then you can see that these aren't the must-haves. So you can get maybe a little bit more clear answers. So yeah, Visa, it's another validation point, right? So Visa was the highest share preference, and it's a must-have. Okay, that's pretty clear.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Analysis that the
indication of what's needed. Yeah.
100%. Yep. So those are some interesting, I think, question types, a little bit more advanced. Obviously, there's more that you can do. There's Conjoint, there's heat map, and a bunch of other more advanced question types. Just wanted to cover a few today, give a quick crash course for those of you who may be thinking about using some of these question types. And feel free to reach out to us if you want to use these in any of your research, or if you have questions about them, more than happy to answer and show you how to implement those on QuestionPro.
And this actually is a good segue into saying, Dan, we tackle a lot of these on the certification, right? So, I mean, if you were to take the certification program, you would be able to know the differences and use cases for all of these. So for sure, you should check the certification out.
Yep, 100%. These were all covered in the research expert level certification. So, go ahead and do that as well. So with that, I think we can wrap up the show. And next week is a special edition of Live with Dan. It's going to be the Canadian office takeover. So although you won't get me, you'll get DJ, who's Dan Jackson, who is the managing director of Canada. So it's Live with Dan, but a different Dan, I suppose. So not planned out like that, just happened, but he's going to be coming on. I'll be out next week, but he's going to be coming on and talking about the Canadian region, some opportunities there. He'll have a guest as well. So don't miss out. Join us or join the show next week, and he'll be on. So with that, thanks everybody for viewing today. We'll be back. Keep doing these weekly shows. I know in July we have a lot of interesting guests lined up. So yeah, thank you again. And if you have any questions on anything we covered today, feel free to reach out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
See you guys soon.
See everyone.